this bit of information as well. Where Marry Right Ghana Limited is collating a database, for all family lawyers, marriage counselors, conciliators and arbitrators, licensed ministers of the religion, and we encourage that we should contact Marry Right Ghana or visit them on their social media platforms or handles, and we can register you. So registration of lawyers, ministers of religion, arbitrators, marriage counselors, marriage registers, please take note of this. Thank you. At this point, we'll make way for our second batch of speakers. Now, this second batch is going to commence with one awesome, intelligent lady. I've interacted with her backstage. She's so awesome. We can't wait to listen to her. She's going to touch on enforcement of maintenance order. The enforcement of maintenance order. And say this is the Achilles heels of the welfare principle. Without much I do, please help me welcome Miss Iris Aggrey-Orleans with a round of applause. Iris.
Thank you, MC, and I stand on all protocol previously observed. My name is Iris Aggrey-Orleans, and I would be dealing with enforcement of maintenance orders, and I've inserted child here just so that it is clear. Now, when I was told that I have just 10 minutes to deal with this, I thought to myself, it's going to be very tough, because this is one of the most difficult aspects of family law that any practitioner deals with, and it is very important, and there's a need for reforms. Please go to the next slide. So the welfare principle, I'll start with what is the welfare principle. Simply put, welfare principle is that in any matter that concerns a child, the most important thing would be that it is the best interest of the child that a court or whatever private tribunal, whatever adjudicating body would consider. So the primary and paramount consideration is the welfare of the best interest of the child, and that is the welfare principle. Now, where did this welfare principle come from? Next slide, please. It came from the United Nations Convention on the Rights of a Child, and it states there that in any matter, once again, it's the best interest of the child should be the primary consideration. And it's urged all state parties that signed on to the convention that they would legislate this. And indeed, Ghana was the first country to sign and ratify this as far back as 1990. And this is the reason why we passed the Children's Act 1998, and under Section 2, next slide please, under Section 2, we stated that the best interest of the child shall be paramount in any matter concerning a child. And it says the best interest of the child shall be the primary consideration. So you'll see that two words are being used. Primary being the first consideration. As soon as somebody appears before you discussing any matter relating to a child, first consideration is best interest of the child. Then, after you have considered all the other factors, you put the best interest of the child on top as well. So the best interest is the gate that will open, and is also the roof. That is how you can imagine it. Next slide, please. Now, we come to maintenance. So I will not deal with the other aspects of best interests when it comes to access, custody. I'm dealing directly with maintenance. So I'll go to Section 47. Now, the law makes it possible for a person to apply to court for maintenance. Usually, when partners are together, they've brought a child into the world. It is very easy for them to lovingly dote on the child, provide all the necessaries for the child. Now, as soon as the relationship goes sour, things start to fall apart. And who suffers? It is the child. And this is the reason why the law has recognized this and has said that a person has a duty to maintain a child, and a custodial parent has the ability to apply to court to ask for maintenance, and that comes in the form of a maintenance order. Next slide, please. So I've quickly outlined what the court will consider when it's putting together a maintenance order. Now remember, we've said it is primary and then it is paramount. So in addition to all the to the primary and paramount, the court will consider the income and wealth of the parents, the impairment in any earning capacity, financial responsibility if there are other children or if there's a new family involved, the cost of living in the area, the rights of the child, and any other matter. Any other matter could be because a child is a special needs child and so requires a certain special school, or a child has some chronic illness, requires a special diet. All of these things are things that a court will consider. And once again, you always have to remember there's a primary, that is your door that you step through, and then the paramount. Next slide, please. Now, why do we say that it is the Achilles heel? If you read Greek mythology, Achilles was a very strong man whose mother dipped him in a river, which gave him this power. Unfortunately, the mother held just his heel and dipped him in the river. So even though he was a very strong man, his weakest point was his heel, and that is how he was killed. Now, so when we say that it is the Achilles heel, that is the weakest point of the welfare principle. Because what happens is that a court will do justice and give a beautiful order and say, maintain child ABC with XYZ at the end of every month. Then the court shuts its book and goes away. Now you are left as a custodial parent with how to enforce that order. And that is where the problem comes in. Next two slides. In Ghana, what happens is this. Okay, thank you. In Ghana, what happens is this. Once you get your order, there's no agency, there's nothing. You are left on your own pretty much to enforce your order. How do you enforce your order without the necessary tools? And this is something that has remained with us for years and decades. During my research, doing a little bit of research, our chairman, I came across some research that our chairman did as far back as 2001. Between 2001 and 2004, and it was very clear that the issues that had come out during those times, where they had gone to the various villages and towns, where they had spoken to various departments of social welfare about the enforcement of maintenance orders, these problems continue to exist today. Because first thing is this: most custodial parents are unaware of how to accept or how to enforce these orders. Now, for those who are even aware of how to enforce the orders, the second thing comes in. There is a cost implication. Who pays those costs? You will see that in jurisdictions where there are agencies that help with the enforcement of child custody orders, all you do is to pay token fees, and those enforcements are held for you. Now, in a country like Ghana, you have your custody order. You have to file what we call an entry of judgment. And an entry of judgment, to file it at the registry, they charge a percentage of the amount that is being claimed in your order. So what happens to that custodial parent who is actually asking the court for assistance to take money for caring for the child? That is a huge flaw and a huge gap that must be looked at. The second, one of the other reasons that enforcement becomes difficult is the difficulty in locating Please go to the next 2 slides. Difficulty in locating the paying parents. We all know how Ghana has a problem with address systems, street systems. People change jobs. We know that in Ghana, the informal sector is one of the largest, or is the largest sector. So if a carpenter who lives at Anloga suddenly moves and enters Cape Coast and lives at Nton in Cape Coast, how is his wife at Anloga going to locate his wife at Anloga, going to locate him in Nton to obtain monies through the maintenance order? So that is one of the issues. There's also the issue of inconsistent income. Inconsistent income, which comes as a result of the lack of formal employment. A lot of us are underemployed, even if we are employed. Then we have cross-jurisdictional issues. We know that a lot of artisans move in and out of Ghana. And we also know that a lot, even not just artisans, but a lot of Ghanaians move in and out of the country. Now, if you have a maintenance order in Ghana and it does not conform to the maintenance regime of the other country, how are you going to enforce those? Then we have economic hardships. We all know how difficult life has been these days. And one of the very important parts which always comes up when you are dealing with custodial parents and errant non-custodial parents or paying parents is that, why can't you just jail this person? And I'll use it advisedly, even though about 99.9% of the cases, it's always the woman as a custodial parent and the man as the non-custodial or paying parent. I've kept it gender neutral. Why can't we jail the other person? In Ghana, it is not part of our jurisprudence to jail people for non-payment of debts, because we do not have debtors' jails. Number 2, it is counterproductive. You don't benefit anything from jailing a person. You will see that sometimes the DOFSU would use Section 79 of the Criminal Act and say that they would try you for refusing to take care of your child, etc. But hardly does that ever happen. They'll threaten you a little here, they'll threaten you a little there, but it doesn't happen. And because of this jurisprudence that we do not incarcerate for non-payments of debts, we have a lot of errant parents who do not want to pay their fair share. The other problem that we also face are the legal loopholes and delays. We all know that courts are inundated with cases upon cases. You file an application, there will be an administrative error. It hasn't gone from the registry, or somebody has not served. All of these things, they occasion delays. Then you have the legal loopholes. Because a person has not filed a certain process before the other process, you have a right to set it aside. Now, if you have a person who is deliberately avoiding payment of his debts, he would use all the legal means necessary to set it aside. And these are some of the issues that we have. Now, as I've mentioned earlier, we do not have any agency in Ghana that helps custodial parents to enforce these orders. But the Department of Social Welfare, Legal Aid Board, SHRAJ and DOFSU, they try, but you do not have the backing of the law. It is, when it comes to children, all the law is found under the Children's Act. Now, it is the family tribunal or the courts that has that power under the law. So in as much as the Department of Social Welfare would possibly invite the parents to come in and have discussions on how they could resolve the issues, they do not have the power of enforcement, and that sometimes creates problems, because if a person has decided to deliberately refuse to comply, the person will not comply. I've painted a very bleak picture. But we should not lose hope. I'm very happy, and I was very happy to hear Madam Chairperson talk about the fact that there is some work on reforms available and or going on, and it will be important that some of these suggestions will be taken on. I was also very happy to hear our Chief Justice talk about the fact that she will be very interested to see the paper after this conference. So some of the reform proposals that I have humbly made are this: that we must look at establishing a child maintenance enforcement agency. It would help to remove these barriers that a lot of women and custodial parents face when it comes to enforcement. We should also look at enhancing some resource allocation to these agencies and departments like DOFSU, etc., so that they can have some muscle to work on this. The next proposal will be to use technology. We are all on our phones these days. Fortunately for us, we now have the Ghana card, which is what is going to be used to open bank accounts, to open mobile money accounts. It will be very easy to liaise with the National Identification Authority to find out where your Ghana card is being used, in order that you can enforce. Because when you are seeking to attach judgments or money orders, and the person is being elusive, will not show you where he's living, will not show you his bank accounts, at least because you have used your Ghana card as registration, we can use that means to intercept and find out where the person lives. Monitoring of social media accounts, all of these things, we can use technology to improve this. Another thing we can do is to look at working at harmonization of the laws to address jurisdictional issues. When you have laws in West Africa regarding or the non-custodial parents has moved to Senegal, for example, and you are in Ghana, how do you deal with this? As ECOWAS, for example, we should be able to find ways to harmonize our laws such that it allows us to enforce. Then we should also work at using alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. I have found in my practice that anytime people have willingly said that this is what I can afford and this is what I will pay, enforcement is easier, compliance is easier. For some reason, anytime it is a court that has given an order that a certain amount has to be paid, compliance is always difficult. Compliance is always difficult. So we should encourage the use of alternative dispute resolution methods. That way, people would have come to an agreement themselves. They will not feel that an order has been imposed upon them. We should also work at some family support programs that will help train custodial parents to find a means of livelihood. It is very important because poverty is one of the germane issues when it comes to this. And public awareness campaigns like this conference, hopefully there's a lot of streaming, there's a lot of recording. People will realize that maintenance orders are not picked out of a hat. It is not given in a vacuum. A court will give proper consideration. And so when you are being asked to maintain your own child, it is not a punishment. So withholding payments as a means of retaliation does not work or augur well for the children. And in the end, they are the ones that suffer. In conclusion, I believe that these reform proposals, I've just touched lightly on them. These reform proposals offer a multifaceted way of looking at maintenance orders as a whole. Dennis, I believe that would look into this further. We would gather our resources and put together proper reforms that will help to manage enforcement of child maintenance orders in Ghana. Thank you.